Hi, and welcome to Tina Talks Keto, Episode 11. It's been a while since I've been recording these. I was on vacation from about 3 weeks into January till end of first week of March, and I just didn't bring with me anything that would let me do these recordings while I was away. A couple of weeks of that, I was on a cruise ship, then driving from Long Island to New York to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with the stops in various places along the way to see some friends. It's a typical thing that my husband and I tend to do through the very cold winter months in New York, which we really want to get away from. So there's that. Then I also took a look at how long it takes me to make these videos. It's a full couple of days by the time I got around to writing a script that made some sense, to listening to the old recordings to make sure I wasn't repeating myself incessantly, and then, of course, putting it all on video and doing the video editing, and it really got a little bit much. And if any of you watched the video I did with Dr. Cywes, you know that I've had some issues. I've got 2 tumors in my brain, very high calcium levels, some other problems, and that all leads to a motivation issue. And I find it extremely difficult to get myself motivated to do anything, including things that I enjoy, like making these videos. So I also realized that one of the things that I can do, which will make life easier, is, first of all, don't script anything. So I'm just talking off the cuff right now. I have not written a single thing down about what I'm going to say. I figure there's always an editor, and if I say something really off the wall or stupid, I can just erase that. So here we are with that, me just talking. Hope it works out for you. I see Sheryl Fox in addition to Dr. Cywes. Now, Sheryl Fox is the registered dietitian that works with Dr. Cywes, and the two combined are extraordinarily helpful to me. And Sheryl is perfectly fine with me recording our sessions and then posting them up on YouTube. So what I'm going to do for the next series of videos is post my sessions with her. And we're starting with, in this video, the session I had with her on January 2nd. So this predates my vacation. I'm not sure, I haven't looked at what dates I did the last recording, so it's possible it also predates the last recording that I did and posted up on YouTube. Sheryl is absolutely delightful to talk to. And I think when you listen to what we talk about, it's going to give you a really great glimpse into, first of all, how she works, and also me, in terms of what's going on with me and how I'm doing, how well I eat and follow this lifestyle of eating a very low-carb diet. And I think that potentially you might even get more out of these sessions and watching what she has to say to me than me just summarizing and trying to do a video every week or two that talks about stuff that we actually cover in these videos. So this is, again, January 2nd. It predates my vacation, predates my trip, my cruise 2 weeks, but it's very real, and hopefully you enjoy it. Please leave messages in the comments. Let me know what you think about my doing these this way, as opposed to just trying to write a script and figuring out what to talk about. And let me know. And also, of course, I have to say this every single time, I'm not a doctor. You all know this. What Sheryl and I talk about is what works for me. I'm not giving any medical advice. She's not giving any medical advice to anybody but me. And actually, in the case of being a registered dietitian, she's giving me nutrition advice, not necessarily medical advice, which I would get from Dr. Cywes. Uh, so I think that covers everything, and I hope you enjoy my session with Sheryl Fox. Thank you. Hi there.
Good morning, Dina. How are you today?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
And Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you. I feel like it's just a fresh start for everyone. So I'm so
Part of the goal.
excited to be talking to you again. Tell me how things are going.
Things are going pretty well. I know the last time we talked was before I left on my anniversary cruise, and I did
Correct?
fine with that. I had a couple of desserts along the way. I don't know, maybe across the whole trip, 6, something like that. Not a big deal. Trip being about 2 months long. So all that was good, and I actually ended up at a lower weight when I finished that trip in the end of May than when I started. So I did fine. But what's happened, I've been very consistent with what I eat. I for the most part, the next probable dessert. I mean, I purposely on my birthday decided to have dessert, purposely decided to have dessert on Thanksgiving. And I have removed that weight, the extra Christmas, whatever dessert things. I went up about 5 pounds. It's gone, which is great. But what I'm concerned about is between, say, the end of May and today, whatever, I'm putting on about a pound a month. And other than these few forays into dessert, I'm pretty consistent with what I eat. Basically protein, mostly ketovore, not any grains, potatoes, bread, nothing, zero. And I'm confused about, and still, I mean, this is month 28 for me of following this food plan. I'm concerned about a couple things. One, and I've talked to Dr. Cywes, is that my blood sugar is still hovering around 100 in the morning, even 2 hours after I'm up. And ketones are not great, and they get better, of course, if I eat more fat, which is obvious, but I don't want to do that. And I'm not really sure, with all the controversy that's going on about how much protein to eat, where I should be falling in that sphere, and how to, I want to at least stop the 1 pound gain. I'd prefer to get back to, I was at the end of my vacation, I was 147. This morning was 154. So I don't know. That's what I really want to talk about. Maybe on a continual every other week kind of basis.
Yes. So in terms of, I know that you said that the desserts are not a problem for you. I guess I would always return to, when we look at things through a lens of carb addiction, why you feel you need them, particularly if you are concerned about creeping weight.
I enjoy them, and I don't have the challenge of the next day saying, "Oh my God," I can stop cold turkey instantaneously.
Yeah.
with it. So I'm not, I have never really been worried about, I mean, initially, if you asked me 2 years ago if I was going to foray into any dessert, the answer would have been no way, not touching the stuff. But the first birthday that I had, and Thanksgiving and Christmas that I had following this food plan, I didn't touch anything except for what I was allowed to eat. Move into 2021, and I allowed myself my favorite dessert for my birthday. I turned 70 that year. So I had a slice of rainbow cake. I had my daughter bring the dessert home with her and not leave it in the house.
Smart move.
But it was like the kind of test to see, well, what's going to happen? Am I going to feel horribly ill? Am I going to not be able to get back into this plan? And none of that stuff happened. I felt perfectly fine. Yes. Did my blood sugar spike? Yes. It went up to, I mean, really, it wasn't bad. I had a huge pile of prime rib beforehand. and it went up to maybe 136. No
Mhm.
biggie. I did not eat anything untoward on Thanksgiving. Fortunately for me, Thanksgiving is not my favorite meal. So it was pretty easy to just bring the food along that I wanted to eat. My daughter always hosts Thanksgiving, so we just did that. And then I don't think I did anything. I think I had a chocolate bar on Christmas that year. Again, I'm not seeing the response that some people say they have
Mhm.
of I can't stop once I start. And I kind of focus this lifestyle on a premise that nothing is forever and nothing is forbidden. So that if I'm driving past the Dunkin' Donuts, I'm not going to stop. I see them every single freaking day. I could care less. If I'm on a cruise ship and they're serving my most favorite dessert in the whole world, and I'm not going to be on that cruise ship again, potentially ever, I'm going to eat the dessert
Mhm.
based on what I've learned up
Mhm.
to now.
Mhm.
So my kind of philosophy is if it's easily available and I can get it anytime, why bother eating it? It's no point. If I'm at some place that's super special, like our 50th anniversary dinner, for example, that kind of thing, yeah, it's I have a history now of 28 months of understanding how my body reacts to it. So this year I made a plan that said yes, I was going to have dessert on my birthday. Yes, I was going to eat some foods that I normally wouldn't have eaten for Thanksgiving. Did not include dessert, but it did include popovers and some of the green bean casserole that my son made, some matzo ball soup, that kind of stuff. Um, but that weight, I'm expecting to see the scale go up based on the carbs. I can feel the inflammation in my body. I have a carb coma the next day that I feel kind of like wake up, literally, that kind of stuff, but it goes away.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure that there's a real problem
Mhm.
with eating dessert, and it kind of makes me find it easier to follow this from not saying never,
Mhm.
because never is a really hard construct. I mean, it's like, do I even want to say that? I'm not sure. But again, I don't see the addiction piece.
Perfect.
Um,
That's really
that's
all I need to hear is that if you recognize how you feel when you consume carbohydrates and you know that it goes away and it doesn't cause you to go into a slide, then
mm-mm.
you're making a grown-up decision. And I just wanted to make sure that we understood each other, that that's where you were.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's legitimate. I mean, this Christmas I had a whole pile of crap all day Christmas, the day before Christmas, that kind of stuff, Christmas Eve. The morning of the 26th, didn't touch a thing, have not touched a thing since then.
yeah.
I threw all the desserts out in the garbage that got left in the house because the kids were here and all that, and we had grandchildren and the rest of this stuff. So everything has been tossed um, right away once they left the house. They took what they wanted to take, and I said everything else is going in the garbage, and everything went in the garbage, and we're all clean house, no issues. So
Awesome.
I think we're good. I think I can continue now. If I have a dessert, I'm going away on another cruise in February. If I feel horribly ill after it or something, that will certainly stop me. That's no question.
Gotcha.
Um,
All right. So
ooh,
sorry, I knocked something over. It's okay. It's all good.
you
It's all good.
sure?
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So your issue though is creeping weight and
Yes.
not very high ketones.
And right. And not figuring out what I need to do to reverse that. I
Right.
mean, it's a very subtle creep, like 1 pound a month ish,
Mhm.
but I can see the future. I can't keep doing 1 pound a month ish, or I'll be back where I was in 2 years. So,
Right.
you
Okay,
know,
so let's tackle this a little bit.
yeah.
All
Okay.
right. So, what kinds of things are you eat? How often do you eat per day?
2 times max.
Okay, and what are you
Um,
eating?
I eat typically 16:8 or 18:6, depending on when my husband has time to run and get breakfast.
Mhm.
So that's his schedule. Um, he is on Zoom calls for work all day. So I'm hoping today that we'll hit 10 o'clock for breakfast, which will probably be 16:8 for me because I think I finished dinner at 5 last night. I don't snack. at all, ever. Well, before I started this, I did, but once I understood the whole issue with insulin and keeping insulin low and not triggering a response, I stopped snacking.
Yep.
So I don't snack at all. That being said, I will occasionally have a coffee in the middle of the afternoon with some heavy cream in it. But I measure that to a tablespoon. Um, or I drink tea with some stevia in it. Beyond that, no food ever. And I eat dinner around between 4 and 4:30 is when I eat dinner.
Mhm.
Um, Dinner is always a protein, and occasionally, depending on if we're eating out or eating at home, um, something like a Caesar salad will
Okay.
accompany dinner. Um, do I realize when I'm in a restaurant that seed oils are going to be in the dressing? Yes. I don't worry about a tablespoon or two of, I do the old Weight Watchers routine of dipping the salad into the dressing as opposed to having the dressing on the, so, that's so ingrained in me now. I don't think I could ever stop that habit. So do I get seed oils? Yeah. Do I get some mayonnaise? Yeah. Because I always eat a cream-based dressing. I like a Caesar dressing or a ranch dressing. I think
Mhm.
that's better anyway, potentially. But that's pretty much it. Dinner is done usually 5 at the latest. Now, are there exceptions to that? Occasionally, yes. Like today, I have to take my doggy to the vet at 3. It's an hour drive round trip. So there's no way I'm having dinner at 4. It's probably going to be 5.
Well, and the thing is life isn't meant to be that rigid, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have an issue with that. I just wanted to kind of get a little bit of an overview of what you are doing.
Sure.
When I looked at your labs, I did see that your most recent labs, you had a BUN of 28.
Yep. Too much
Have you
protein,
just,
right?
yes. Have you discussed this with Dr. Cywes?
No.
But you know this already.
Yeah, actually, what doing, I research this stuff constantly and I'm on a pile of Zoom calls and groups and Facebook and all the rest of the crap. So yes, I'm trying to remember if I asked him that last time. We definitely didn't talk about it the most recent phone call that we had. The time before that, I don't think we did either. So maybe 6 months ago, where he might have said that's not that unusual, or he wasn't worried about it. I'm not sure, but yeah, the BUN I thought maybe into too much protein. The question is 8 ounces of protein really too much protein? Because I rarely eat. Maybe I'll have on a steak in a restaurant, I'll have 10, but my protein in general is 70%ish, not 70%, 25%, 30% of my
Mhm.
macros. And fat is commonly 1-to-1-ish,
Yep. Mhm.
65, 70% fat. And the 5%, I'm always under 20 total carbs and more likely under 10. Um,
Yeah, so I think that it could be a situation. I mean, these are numbers that typically work for people, all
and
right?
yeah, right.
But it might be a little bit different for you right now, all
Okay.
right?
Yep.
When I see a BUN of 28, to me, it's not so much that you're eating too much protein, is that you're not getting enough fat.
Really? Okay.
That's what I would say. Now, I don't want you to just add a stick of butter to your day because you're worried about the weight gain. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So in this case, I would want to see you decrease that protein. So instead of 25% protein, could we bring it down to 20% protein?
Okay. Hmm.
All
And you're
right.
not
And
worried about not eating enough protein. And I mean,
well, if I see a BUN of 28,
I'm
that
getting it.
says
You're right.
to
You're right.
me,
Right. Yes, that makes sense. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I would just have you try that for 3 months or so, do a new BUN and see if that, and the thing is if you are burning protein for energy, that is why your ketones are not high
And why my glucose is high,
and
right?
why your glucose is high. So when you tell
Yes.
me that this is what is happening, is that you can't bring your blood glucose down, you can't get your ketones up, and I see a
Right.
BUN of 28, it's all telling me
Right.
the same story.
Right. Yes, that makes sense.
So I would
Okay.
say try bringing down how much protein you consume and just see, you can do your measures and find what's happening with my fasting blood glucose, what's
Sure.
happening with my ketones, and see if that helps you. So it's pretty immediate feedback. I'm not asking you to do something for a year and do new labs.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah. No, no, no.
find out
Yeah.
right away if just
Yep.
that small tweak will get you more in line with where you want to be. And then once you're producing more ketones, then that is going to dampen that appetite. And that might be just enough to
I
stop
hope
that weight.
so, because I'm always hungry. I mean, that's been constant for 28 months. I've never, unless I severely overeat or I eat a ton of carbs, like on a day that, like my birthday, when I have carbs, I'm stuffed and I actually just don't even feel that well. I've eaten too much.
Yeah.
If I'm following my plan and eating appropriate, what I think I should be eating, I'm always hungry. That's never gone away. I don't know
So
whether
to
that's
me,
leptin
that is a
resistance or
sign that you're not getting enough fat.
enough fat. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would definitely dial back the protein, dial up the fat. So what kinds of things do you eat typically when you say you have a protein for your dinner? Like what, for your lunch or your dinner, what kinds of proteins are you eating?
Well, at breakfast, it would be eggs, always. And either 90% of the time we go out for breakfast, it's probably 95% of the time. So it's either a side of bacon or a side of breakfast sausage or a burger, depending on how starving I am and what I think I might be having later in the day.
Yep.
For dinner, I either eat a rotisserie chicken, that's probably once or twice a week, or a burger or a steak or some form of skirt steak or flank steak or something of that nature. Occasionally pork chops, pretty much, or chicken salad. I tend to enjoy chicken salad for dinner.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. If I'm home, that is it. If I'm at a restaurant, that will probably include a Caesar salad.
Yep. Okay, so the thing with the rotisserie chicken and even the skirt steak or a flank steak or pork
Not
chops
enough
is they
fat.
can be lean. Those are lean cuts of meat. Your breakfast, your first meal, eggs and bacon or sausage, that's perfect.
Okay,
There's
good.
gonna be plenty of fat in that,
Okay.
particularly if the eggs are cooked in a little bit of butter.
Oh, yeah. Well, however a restaurant cooks them.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
they're gonna be cooked in a fat. So I think
Yes,
that
they
your
are going to be
first
cooked in
meal
a
is
fat. Yes.
your first meal I'm totally fine with. I think that your second meal is a little bit too lean.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if we can incorporate the fat, when you have chicken salad, are you making that yourself with leftovers from the rotisserie chicken and mayonnaise?
No, the grocery store is making it with leftover chicken rotisserie
And
chicken and
mayonnaise.
mayonnaise.
Okay, so that's
They're
fine
pretty
because
good.
the mayonnaise,
I read the ingredients, and this is a local Italian grocery store.
perfect.
They have three, and so I think they're, other than the fact that it's probably got seed oils in it. Um, and I'm not. I mean, I know I shouldn't eat them, but I'm not that strict about that particular piece of this food plan. Um, so yeah, I mean, do they occasionally, they'll be, if I'm at a different grocery store, sometimes they'll say sugar, but I'm not sure there's a whole ton of it. I mean, I'd be surprised if there was a whole ton of it. I do have the calorie count from one of the grocery stores. So but it should be more fatty than a breast of chicken. It's
Absolutely. That's what I say. If
they
you're
make them
having
from
it
the
with
rotisserie
mayonnaise,
chickens.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's got
exactly what I would
mayonnaise
say.
for
If you're
sure.
having it with mayonnaise, then it's going to have more fat.
Yeah.
So that's going to be perfect.
Okay.
You can do it yourself. If you buy a whole rotisserie chicken, you
Yep.
can have the leg for one day and then cut up the breast with, you can buy avocado oil mayonnaise
I
if
have,
you're
oh
worried.
yeah, I don't have that. My concern about buying mayonnaise is just that I don't use it enough to have it in
Yeah,
the house and not have it go bad.
yeah,
Because I'm one of
that's fair.
those toss after 2 months if it's been opened kind of persons. So, you know, so I
No,
don't.
that's fair. But so long as you're having it with the mayonnaise, then that's
Oh
going to
yeah,
give
yeah,
you,
yeah, of course, yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But the rotisserie chicken itself is going to be a little bit lean. I would encourage you to eat the legs
Oh,
with
I
the
do.
skin
That's what I love, the dark meat and
and with the
skin. That's what I
skin.
eat. Yes, I eat them with dark meat and skin all the time.
Perfect. So that's probably not too bad. But if you're having something like that steak, a skirt steak or a
Too
flank
lean.
steak, I think that maybe you need to make like a cream sauce or even
Okay,
just put some butter on top of
sure.
it.
Okay,
These are extra ways to get a little bit
a little
more
bit more
fat. So then
fat.
you can have a
Okay,
smaller piece of the meat and then put butter on top of it or something just to boost that ratio, I think.
okay, all right, I can do that.
Yeah,
And a
and then see
burger
if
is,
that affects
say that again?
see if that affects your fasting blood glucose and your
Sure.
ketones, and then
Yep.
your hunger levels. I don't want, this isn't a diet that you should be hungry on, right? This isn't a Weight Watchers thing or anything like that where you should be feeling hungry. All right, we want to kind of boost the fat, which will also help you produce ketones, and that should dampen that appetite. This isn't
Right.
supposed to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I ignore it. I've gotten so used to it that I just ignore it. But it has been a constant piece of this is that I don't, I still weigh and measure everything because I want to make sure of what I'm actually getting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I log and track my Fitness Pal, have been for years.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is written down, everything is measured. Um, so I can pretty well give and take in the sense that when I'm looking up, like find hamburger patty on the list of hamburger patties, do I know that my hamburger patty that I had was the hamburger patty that I picked? Mm.
I mean, there's so much error in those numbers anyway.
Yeah.
I'm really not a big fan of all of the tracking and the calculating. And also, your body doesn't do math the way that
No,
my Fitness Pal does math.
that's right.
So if that gives you peace of mind to think that you're meeting your goals, then that's okay. But I would never encourage someone to do it who isn't doing it, if that
Right,
makes
right.
sense.
Yeah, I don't, you're not going to say go start tracking, but since
Right.
I'm already tracking and it's part of my habit and kind of like where I need to know where I am. What about calories? Do we need to be concerned at all about calories, or is that going to naturally go down because I'm eating less protein?
So I think that if you are hungry all the time,
Yep.
then you are not getting the proper macronutrient ratio. In
Okay.
terms of calories, I think it's almost a meaningless number. It's not
Right.
completely meaningless because for sure, if you eat nothing, you will eventually die. If you drink olive oil all day long, you will put on weight. Where
Right.
you land in between is so dependent on how well you've slept, how much you move, and these are things that we can't accommodate in a MyFitnessPal tracker. All
Right.
right, so it's not a meaningless number, but it's almost meaningless. I
Okay.
don't really want you to think about calories. I just want you to boost how much fat you're consuming at your
Okay.
meal. And
More fat.
because you do track, we can say, all right, I want it to be 80 instead of 75.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of what that means on your plate, it means your steak is a little bit smaller than usual and it has some butter on it. I
Yep.
don't want you to be measuring or weighing necessarily. I just give you that number because I know it's meaningful to you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I do know 2 years ago when I had about a 4 or 5 month stall in the beginning. What I did notice that when I boosted up to 80% fat, I was bumping up the weight. But again, my body is probably different now anyway, so you don't have too many concerns about bumping up fat and having a weight gain from that.
Again, I think what it's going to do is to dampen your appetite. All right. So
Okay,
it's about putting a little bit less protein on your plate
got
and a
it.
little bit more fat. So
Okay,
when we talk about calories, I don't want your calories to change. I don't want how much energy you take in to change. I want the
okay,
ratio
just
to be different.
reappropriate what we're eating. What we're
Right.
eating.
And the thing is you can assess, if you make this change and then over the next week, you'll say, I'm having more ketones now. My blood glucose is coming down. My weight is stable. So you could call me again and say, hey, my weight's going up. So then we would say, all right, let's do some really specific, narrow, tailored changes.
But
But
let's see
let's
what's
start
happening.
with it
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, yeah. Okay, that works for me.
All right,
I can
good,
do that. Yeah. I will,
good.
that's not hard. I'm also following, Dr. Westman is doing a 7-day keto challenge this week,
Mhm,
which
mhm.
I'm following, but I don't see that as anything that would change what we're talking about because all the stuff is similar in what he's doing. I just,
If anything, it will help you because it
yeah,
will help you make more ketones,
right,
right?
right.
The higher fat. You said yourself, if I have some fat, I'll make some ketones, right?
It's true because I did a month of putting butter in my coffee instead of putting in, and I did end up gaining weight by maybe 3/4 or a pound that month. But again, that's been happening every month, so it wasn't necessarily that. The problem
Right.
that I ran into that was that my gut couldn't handle all that butter. I had too many trips to the bathroom, shall we say.
Well, we don't
So,
want that. So if you
no.
just add a little bit of butter to your protein at your meal, rather than
Yes,
trying to do it in your
in
coffee,
my
I
coffee.
think that
Yep,
your gut should handle it
yep.
better. You also upregulate pathways for absorption pathways for the fat. So for example, have you heard of MCT oil? You're well
Yes.
educated, you know MCT oil. So a lot of people, if they were to start out by taking 1 tablespoon of
Oh my
MCT oil,
God.
will have that issue. But
Yes.
if you start with a teaspoon and work your way up slowly, you do build tolerance. So that could
Yeah.
be the same thing for
Dr.
you. But I'm
Cywes
not
did
going to
tell
get
me
you to
to,
drink butter.
yeah, no, no. Dr. Cywes did tell me to add MCT oil to my plan, which I haven't done yet because I'm a little scared of it. But it's, I have to pick a couple of days where I know I'm home.
Yeah.
And then,
So well, that's why I didn't bring it up necessarily
yeah,
for you to make that change right now. Let's
right.
see if we can just
Let's
make the
do it with the
dietary
butter. Yep,
change
yep,
and
yep.
definitely see what impact that has. And we can talk about maybe gradually introducing some MCT oil or scaling back or doing some other tweaks. But I think let's just always start with the simplest, easiest thing first.
Yep, yep, absolutely. That works for me. I can do
All
that.
right. Awesome. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, I think we're good. And we should schedule, should I call Kim to schedule the next 2 weeks from
Yeah,
now?
why don't you do that? Because she has my schedule and then she can
Okay.
find a good time that works for you so we could see how you do with this small
Yeah,
change.
definitely need the follow-up for sure.
All right, fantastic.
Okay.
All right, well,
Thank
you
you.
have a great rest of your day, Tina.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.